Andrew Yang is an entrepreneur, author, philanthropist, and a former presidential candidate. He's also the founder of a new political party with the goal of shaking up the current two-party system. And joining us now is Andrew Yang. Welcome to Arizona Horizon. Good to have you here.
It's great to be here. Thanks for having me, Ted.
You bet. All right, the Forward Party, that's the name of the book. Is about this. This is the part. What is it?
It's a unifying, positive, third-party movement to restore the connection between us and our communities and the people who are supposed to represent us. Because right now, about half of Americans say they're independents. 62% want a new party or a third option, but we keep being told we can't have one. We're building one right now to try and make it so that our government works for us again.
Is this what you mean when you say that people feel stuck right now? The political system feels stuck?
Yeah, a lot of people aren't that pumped about either of the options that are being presented. So many Americans feel like they're voting for the lesser of two evils, and it's about who makes you cringe less as opposed to who you are excited about. I know Arizona has had very, very tight elections, and that's reflected around the country. What we have to do is actually give people a choice you're excited about based upon things you want to see in your community, because right now the current two-party system doesn't have to deliver. All they have to do is make you dislike the other side a little bit more.
So the third party, let's say it's the third party, is the Forward Party. What would you do differently? I mean, how do you focus on the community more so than the two parties are doing right now?
Oh, well, one of the things we want to do is set up a voting mechanism where you have to get 51% of people excited about you through something called ranked choice voting, which just won in Nevada on a ballot initiative. We're super excited about it. It also tends to reduce extremism and polarization because you need majority appeal. And even if you don't agree with someone, you still want to incorporate their issues into your platform to try and win a general election. So that's one of the big things we can do that would improve the accountability and the representation. It weakens the party bosses, which is why Nevadans voted it in, even though, frankly, both parties in Nevada were against it.
Well, I think we've talked about this numerous times on this program. The parties are very much against that kind of thing because it doesn't serve their interests. And yet ranked voting, jungle primaries, these sorts of things, do they really bring in new candidates, or they just coalesce around those two parties?
Well, they open the system up. They make it so that even if you have the same people in office, their incentives get better. But you're not going to have a third party or a new party entrant that's able to compete unless you get rid of this spoiler effect and this cudgel that they use where they say, look, can't vote for anyone new because if you do, you're going to empower the bad guys to win, whoever the bad guys are.
Right. You left the Democratic Party, what, last year, somewhere last year?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, why'd you leave the party?
Well, I left the Democratic Party because I sense that polarization is getting worse and worse in our country, where almost half of Democrats regard Republicans as corrupt and a threat to the country, and about half of Republicans feel the same way about Democrats, and this is getting worse, not better. You have a lot of media organizations that are driving the tribalism, and then social media is pouring gasoline on the whole thing. So I left the Democratic Party because I realized that it wasn't going to be possible to reduce our temperature level and bring Americans together from within one of these two parties. Right now, the clashing is leading us nowhere, and so you need to change the dynamic, which, by the way, again, 62% of Americans want. So many people know that our two-party system right now is breaking down and not working.
So you feel more comfortable trying to fix the political system, fix what's wrong, what ails us, from the outside as opposed to the inside. For those who say, yeah, but you get more access and you can do more damage, if you will, from the inside, how do you respond to that?
Well, if you ask people in either party to get behind systems change that ends up loosening their party control, guess what? They're not going to like it, because they'll turn to their consultants and say, hey, where are we on this? And they'll say, we don't like it because it makes the elections less controllable and less predictable. So that's why I knew you had to get outside of the two-party system and get on the side of, again, the 50% of Americans who say we're independents, the 62% who want a new option. So this is a positive grassroots movement that so many Americans are getting excited about because they know that right now you can't turn to either party and feel like they have your back.
But can a party have your back? Can a party change? Can it evolve? Are we seeing right now within the Republican Party implosions going on right and left? The party will change. We don't know which direction, we don't know how, but the party will change. Not enough change for you?
Well, I think you have to dig one step deeper. So these parties, in my opinion, should actually already each be two parties. The Democratic Party should be two parties. The Republican Party should be two parties. And everyone knows what I'm talking about. Then maybe you'd have a fifth party in the middle. And in that system, then you'd have more coherent conversations as to what the people want and what our government's meant to deliver. Right now, you don't have anywhere near that kind of conversation because, again, I don't need to accomplish anything. I just need to win 50.1% and turn you against the other side.
So the Forward Party would be something in the middle, you envision in the middle between Republicans and Democrats?
Yeah, that's where the majority of the energy is. And what we want to do is we want to reflect the majority will of the people in our leadership, which right now, again, is not happening. I'm a math guy, and if you look at the numbers, as an example, the satisfaction rate or approval rate for U.S. Congress right now is 20 to 28%, very low. 3 out of 4 of us not happy. The re-election rate for individual members of Congress is 94%, which is a higher win rate than the Phoenix Suns have ever had in their best season. So if you look at that disconnect, you think, like, why is that? And it's because 90% of our districts have been drawn to be uncompetitive. They're either going to be blue or red. So in that system, I, again, do not need to get the people's work done to stay in office. I just need to keep the people in the base happy.
With that in mind, I can't let you go without your thoughts on the midterms. What did you see last week?
You know, I saw independents break to Democrats by 2 to 4 points, in part because they're uncomfortable with this version of the Republican Party. There are a lot of people who are part of Forward who are moderate Republicans who are very uncomfortable with this direction of the Republican Party. And they know that right now the incentives are wrong. If we want our system to work better, we have to change the actual structures. But I was very encouraged by the midterms because Americans wanted balance.
Last question. Let's say the Forward Party takes off. Let's say it catches on. Let's say it's a factor. It makes an impact. It's out there. It's doing things. What keeps the Forward Party from becoming everything that Republicans and Democrats are now?
You know, this is a fun question, Ted, so we're already the third biggest political party in the country by resources, but we don't control anything yet. So really all we have at heart is what the people want. And if we get to a point where we actually are subject to the same corruption as the other parties, then in a way that'll be a mark of success, but we have a very long way to go to get there.
Interesting response. Andrew Yang, the Forward Party. It's good to meet you. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate it.
Oh, it's great to be here, Ted.
You betcha.